You're good.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? We're doing good?
Very good.
So the speaker's good, judge is good? Awesome. Well, welcome to the second preliminary round of the 8th annual Florida Atlantic 3-minute thesis competition. The 3-minute thesis competition is very special, and it celebrates the exciting research and creative activity conducted by graduate students here at Florida Atlantic University. I am Vito Borio, and I will be your MC, or Master of Ceremony, for this evening. So, as cool as this event is, it's good to get a little bit of the history about it. By the way, do I have a? Oh, there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just wanted to see what chair was. So, obviously, as you can see, I am not Cynthia Carrico. My name is Vito Boria, as I said, and I do happen to be relatively similar to this description. I am a communications major. I'm currently studying communications and philosophy. I work at the Speaking Center as a student consultant, and I am also an oncoming teaching assistant for fall 2024. Thank you. But enough about me. Let's get to the contestants today. So, a brief overview of the competition. It was actually developed by the University of Queensland, and this is a research communication competition that challenges graduate students to present a compelling oration of their thesis and as well as its significance. The 3-minute thesis challenge challenges students to consolidate their ideas in research discoveries so they can be presented concisely to a non-specialist audience. For example, instead of saying, the dermis was saturated by the mycotoxins that resulted from the Ichthys vulgaris. That's a little jargon intensive, not really the vibe here today. A presenter might say the skin was allergic and ended up with a bad rash. So that's what we're looking for today. We're looking for concise articulation all the way through. So a quick history about the 3-minute thesis competition. It actually came about at a time when the state of Queensland was suffering from a severe drought. In an effort to conserve water, residents were actually encouraged to time their showers, which prompted them to attach a 3-minute egg timer into their bathroom. Then, the dean of graduate school, Emeritus Professor Alan Lawson, had the brilliant idea to put the two and two together, and the idea for the 3-minute thesis competition was born. 2008 marked the first 3-minute thesis competition, and it was held at the University of Queensland with 160 higher degree by research candidates competing. From 2000 throughout 2010, the 3-minute thesis competition was promoted to other Australian and New Zealand universities, and enthusiasm for the concept began to grow. Later in 2010, due to its adoption in numerous universities, a multinational event was developed, and the inaugural training patent thesis competition was held at the University of Queensland. In 2011, the popularity of the competition has increased, and the 3-minute thesis competitions are now held in over 900 universities in more than 85 countries worldwide. Fast forward to 2016, this brought an expansion of the Trans-Tasman 3-minute thesis competition to include universities from Southeast Asia, Southeast and North Asia regions. And the competition is now called the Asia Pacific 3-minute thesis competition and is hosted annually by the University of Queensland. Now in 2020, the 3-minute thesis competition moved to a temporary virtual format due to the COVID-19 pandemic and has continued to be held around the world in either a virtual or live format, depending on the local COVID-19 restrictions, of course. So, as interesting of a history that is, we shall now move forward with the competition here. So, as for the competition rules, contestants are limited. There is a very strict 3-minute maximum on the thing. Any overage on the 3 minutes will result in disqualification, so keep that in mind. And presentations are spoken word, which is no poems, no raps, don't just get up here and start going on. Presentations are considered when a presenter starts their presentation. So the first word that you say will mark the start of your speech. So the second that you say that first word, the timer will begin to go, and from that moment you will have 3 minutes. So make sure to keep that as well. As you know, a single static 1.5 is permitted. So if you have another slide prepared, choose the one that you think is best, because that will be the only one that will be on the screen. There's also no additional electronic media, so no videos or songs to be played during your presentation, as well as no additional props. And the judge's decision is final, so that one's not the speaker, that's for you guys. So just keep that in mind. And then so now, judges, I will also bring your attention to the rubric. So, as I said before, speakers are really going to be graded today on their comprehension and content. So this involves providing clear motivation, background, and significance of the research question. And then as well as the presentation is clearly described in the research strategy, or that it clearly describes the research strategy and design, as well as the results and the findings of the research. Lastly, presentation clearly describes the conclusion, outcomes, and impact of the speech. So that ties in with those findings, making sure that they're very clear, clearly articulated, and emphasized. Secondly, engagement and communication. So the presentation was delivered clearly. They spoke fluently and made an effort to keep their audience engaged. The PowerPoint slides are also well defined and enhance the presentation, as well as the language being appropriate for the non-specialist audience. So not too jargon intensive and again, clearly articulated. So yeah, you can also find a full comprehensive list of the rules on the judging forms and criteria that have been handed out to you. Yes, so it is on a scale of 1 to 7. 1 being that the presenter did not meet these expectations that are listed on the screen here. 7 being that they met and even exceeded those expectations, with 4 being in the middle. Yeah. So as you know, we are currently here on Monday, March 18th, the second preliminary. The second, the third will be events tomorrow, and the following event on Wednesday. So today's contestants here are up and running for the following scholarships that you see up on the screen here. So our winner will be receiving $1,000, and the first runner-up will be receiving $500. Second runner-up $250, and then also there's the People's Choice Awards, which will be awarded $500. And then so the preliminary heat winner today will be advancing to that championship round on Wednesday, which Thursday. Oh, I apologize, on Thursday. Yeah, so make sure to keep an eye out for them, and if you really like them, go see how they perform on Thursday. Awesome. So with that being said, I believe we are ready to introduce the judges. So first, we have Dr. Comfort Olubui. She is an associate director for eSuccess, and she works at the Center for Learning and Student Success. Next is Dr. Shireen Lala, associate director for testing and certification here at Florida Atlantic University as well. Then we have Dr. Jessica Lopez Velez. She is the director of online enrollment and student success for the Center for Online and Continuing Education. And lastly, Dr. Patricia Anastasio, physician for the Advanced Pediatrics of Boca Raton. Please get around to questions. So just a few rules here before we, or a few asks. Our students today really put a lot of effort into this, so we ask just to not do your best not to interrupt or to interfere with their presentation in any way. So feel free to take pictures, but just make sure that the flash is off. And we ask for you to hold your applause until the student is done with their presentation. And as I said before, the timing will begin the moment that you start your speech. So on with the competition. Starting us off will be our first presenter. So first is Tatiana Iubian, and she is a student of the Dorothy Schmidt College of Arts and Letters. And she has a presentation today on AI Family, which covers the portraiture and artist books and web design.
Should I press something with worms?
No, I think you're all set.
Okay. In the beginning was the Word. I started to fully comprehend this phrase only with the appearance of AI, which carries surprising parallels to the process of Genesis. Creation with AI begins with the words, and these words must be precise in order for our creation, our idea to come to life properly. Similar to the creator, AI never repeats anything twice, each time generating unique forms, images, and texts, as unique as human face, snowflake, giraffe spots, or galaxy formation. While AI benefits are huge, we shouldn't overlook its dangers, such as its exponentially growing usage in military, advertising, journalism, and data harvesting. I focus my research and my artworks on this issue of permanent data collection possible with the presence of AI in our families. And I initiate discussions and try to look for solutions. Believe it or not, these days there are more AI-powered phones and other devices than people on Earth, and they are milking us for data. But who owns this data? Where does it go? How is it being used? There are no laws or regulations in that field, and without transparency and certain regulations, we might be entering right now in the realm of mind control. I asked ChatGPT for the antonym for AI, and the answer was very alarming. An antonym for artificial intelligence would be natural stupidity. While this might sound humorous, in the world powered by AI, this could lead to potential annihilation of humanity in the worst-case scenario. Eventually, we will know if AI is a gift sent to us from God, or as Elon Musk says, working with AI is summoning the demon. Meanwhile, I think it's the right time to demand transparency about the data collected on our families by AI. Thank you.
That's my camera on. Thank you, Tatiana. That was beautiful. And you know the artificial intelligence debate going on right now. I think it's more important than ever, especially with a lot of the things that you mentioned in the speech and some of the top minds that are currently talking about this. And I couldn't agree more with your findings and conclusion that transparency must be a thing for this. The landscape needs to be open, and everybody needs to know, what the hell is actually going on with this stuff and what we're selling, what we're signing up for. So, yeah, I couldn't agree more, and thank you. I think that you did a very good job presenting that topic.
Time do we have?
2 minutes. I called for Jeopardy theme music, but I guess I will be the music to the game. All right, judges. So now it is time for our next presenter. So our next presenter is Ida Morgan Edney. She is also from the Dorothy Bank College of Arts and Letters, and her title of the presentation today is Reimagining History, Empowering Women Through Visual Narrative. Would you like to?
One second. Welcome, everybody. My study is about the image of women, especially back in Iran, because as artists, we always struggle with the identity, and it's like big part of our work is how we present our identity through our work. But the funny thing that I was struggling with a lot, it was I couldn't have any kind of specifically clear image of my identity as an Iranian woman. So because of that, I tried to understand why was the reasons. I found some of the things that I want to represent here. One of them was I was born and raised back in Iran. Usually it was like a lot of ideological propaganda to specifically present a woman in specifically kind of way that is going to be like the Shia Muslim. So, and also, which was a little bit different than the reality to me. And then I came here, I see another perception of Iranian and woman again here, which was again, was very new for me. And also from the last year, previous year, we have like specific movement about the Iranian woman. Again, my perception started to change. Because of that, I go through the story to see where was like the image of woman exactly back in Iran and how I don't have any idea about how to present myself. So I go through the history, and my research starts from the very beginning, 7,000 years ago, with the first image of the woman that is going to be very abstract back in Iran. And also we have like the goddesses like Anahita, 5,000 years ago, that they represent a very heavenly positioning back in that culture until years goes by, and little by little the stage goes, you see very decrease in the level of the woman, and like in 5,000 years until the beginning of the first century, you can see that image of woman that appears in the art is like very, very different, and it's not presenting as like the goddesses anymore. Until the recent centuries, that you can see that always it keeps disappearing in our art. And but since last year, I'm seeing that like different kind of perception of women becoming like more activist and like more present in the society is representing. So I keep researching on this way to find my way to show my identity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ida. It is really beautiful to look at all the different arts and cultures from around the world. I myself as Italian, so walking around, the city of Rome and seeing all the art and culture is phenomenal. So thank you again, Ida. Just. All right, moving on. Our next contestant is Kate Kiley. Again, she is also a student of the Dorothy Schmidt College of Art and Letters. And her presentation today is on escapism in theater. Rest your mind, replenish your soul.
According to Oxford, escapism is the tendency to seek distraction and relief from unpleasant realities, especially by seeking entertainment or engaging in fantasy. Now, human beings have plenty of options when it comes to escapism. There are potentially harmful ways to entertain yourself, such as excess drinking, alcohol use, overeating, overshopping, gambling, other addictive behaviors. There are also more innocuous forms of escapism, such as daydreaming, reading, or exercising. But none of those options can provide the unique benefits of an evening or an afternoon in the theater. When you watch a play, you are momentarily distracted from your own problems as you are wrapped up in the world of the show and the problems the characters in the play are facing. If you choose a tragic or dramatic play to watch, you may find that you learn something new about yourself and about what it means to be a human being in this world that we all share. You may even experience catharsis as you laugh, cry, and feel along with the characters in the play. And this ability to find relief and release while simultaneously being reminded that you are never alone in your humanness is an incredibly powerful and even potentially, literally therapeutic experience. However, if you prefer your theatrical escapism to come in a more metaphorically sugar-coated form, never fear, you can also rejoice. If you would rather see a lighthearted comedy, or perhaps a musical, or even that most loved, most hated phenomenon known as the jukebox musical, rejoice, that's all right. Those are great too. They're in fact a wonderful way to rest your weary mind in a way that it so desperately needs and in a way that can be increasingly difficult to do in a contemporary world that seems to lack true silence. No less than Sigmund Freud agreed that human beings, to quote him directly, cannot subsist on the scanty satisfaction they can extort from reality. In other words, simply put, we need escapism sometimes to survive. We need to take a mental break from the sometimes overwhelming, sometimes disappointing realities of our day-to-day lives. And if dancing along to some actors singing the entire musical rep of ABBA, threaded together by some incredibly loose plot, is going to help you do that, you absolutely should joyfully and without fear of judgment. Going to see a live theatrical play or musical can help distract you from the worries, pain, and problems that we all face in our day-to-day lives. It can do this while also helping you process your complex feelings. It will not give you a hangover or any other adverse health effects. It is theater, live theater by its very nature is ephemeral, so you cannot get addicted to it or overindulge in it. It probably will give you a newfound sense of awareness of just how much seemingly different people have in common, and through that, it will give you an increased sense of empathy for yourself as well as for your fellow human beings, and I cannot think of a more worthwhile way to spend your time than that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kate. I myself happen to be a very fond proponent of musical theater, so I was actually in a few in high school, believe it or not.
Yeah. That was the first thing. I know.
Okay, so our next contestant is Leandro Navicienda. He's a student of the Dorothy Schmidt College of Art and Letters, and his speech is titled, or his thesis, Forging the Alliance for Progress in Venezuela, the United States, and the Map Beautiful. I would say like a few inches. That's a little too close. Yeah, right there. Okay.
Oil and communism. These are the words that fill our thoughts as we observe the current tensions between the United States and Venezuela. But this is not an issue that just haunts the present. The roots of these problems actually date back to the 1960s and the failures of John F. Kennedy's marquee program for Latin America, the Alliance for Progress. The alliance was designed to kickstart economic development and create stable capitalist democracies by providing generous foreign aid. By doing so, Kennedy hoped to prevent the spread of communism in Latin America and isolate the threat to US power posed by the Cuban Revolution. The scholarly consensus is that the alliance failed as it led to the overthrow of democracies and the installation of military dictatorships. However, in the case of Venezuela, historians have argued that the Kennedy administration's policies were actually crucial to establishing democratic governance under the leadership of Rómulo Betancourt. Historians have argued that US support for Betancourt's government was essential to defeating threats from both right-wing military officers and left-wing guerrillas, leading to the first successful transfer of power in Venezuela's history. My thesis challenges this conclusion. I argue instead that the Alliance for Progress in Venezuela exacerbated structural issues at the heart of the Venezuelan state. By conducting research at the John F. Kennedy Presidential Library and online databases of US government documents, I showed that the Kennedy administration reinforced trade barriers between the United States and Venezuela by strengthening restrictions on foreign oil imports. This posed an existential threat to Betancourt's government, which relied on the proceeds of the oil trade to fund its budget. The Alliance for Progress then complicated this issue. As Kennedy and Betancourt very publicly forged a partnership to fight communism, it became more and more important for Betancourt to show the Venezuelan people that it resulted in equitable trade. This was because his government's stability hinged on its management of the Venezuelan oil industry. Therefore, US and Venezuelan officials collaborated to present the alliance in a positive light to the Venezuelan public. As a result, the Venezuelan oil's US market share dropped precipitously during the 1960s, the Venezuelan state doubled down on its dependence on oil to hold the nation together. This now leads to many of the same issues that Venezuela continues to face today. Thank you.
Thank you, Leandro. That was phenomenal.
Talked about this earlier. Really important issues to create like this alliance, right, and to fight communism. Benefit really wants out of the state. He wants less restrictions, which want more limits. However, Kennedy is tied. His hands are tied by domestic commitments to the U.S. domestic oil industry, so he can't take over these restrictions. However, because the Venezuelan state relies so much on the oil, distribute the wealth into various different sectors, and this benefit based a lot of their military organizations like Onyx Railroads, like I said, it becomes very important for them to present this and like, oh, protecting Venezuela and oil market west, even though in reality it's doing the opposite. So that's like my one graph shows some different market shares for all the different countries. Yeah. Not real. Yeah, not true. Yeah, but in yeah, so like even but on private, like Bangalore and everybody's say, hey, this is restriction. In public, 150% of the products. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
So our next contestant is Johnny Mauricio Velasco. He's a student of the Dorothy Schmidt College of Arts and Letters as well. And today he's here to present a thesis, Pre-Columbian Landscape Management, Soil Surveyed in the Manteno Black Forest. Just have to hold the mic or do you have to hold us?
Archaeology is the science of the past. That's why we are really passionate about how culture have developed around the eras. Especially in Ecuador, there is an important combination of time, space, resources, and of course, human work. Constructing a landscape is a difficult situation. We have to think about how we transform a natural environment into a cultural one. This case is about the Manteño people. It is a late prehistoric society from coastal Ecuador that established a really long distance trade network around the Pacific coast. The trading good or the trading community was the muyu, that was a species of Spondyus. It is a shellfish that was considered a luxury good in pre-Columbian times. But what else? This society built several cities and settlements around all the Ecuadorian coast. Specifically, there are monumental cities that are structured in stone foundations. But in tropical environments, we have a difficulty. This difficulty is that we don't have the best preservation conditions for our cultural remains or our cultural record. That's why I want to go beyond that. This methodology that I pursue is the application of micromorphology. It is a geological technique that helps us to study beyond what the human eye is capable of seeing. By this image, we can see how these foundations, these stone foundations, could be revealed by the soil samples that we are intended to take. These soil samples could tell us about these micro remains, such as plants, charcoal, soil organic matter, that could tell us about the impacts human inhabitation had in the soils and were imprinted in the soils. It is because it is really useful to reconstruct this long-lasting story, ecological perspective, and of course, it could help us to understand how this society, this example of resilience, could help us to understand the current challenges that we have. For example, climate change, especially in the affections that this phenomenon could have in the local populations at current days. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Ola Diron, Ola Dukun, and she is a student in the College of Engineering and Computer Science, and she is here to present her thesis, Multiphysics Simulation of a Depth-Based Microfluidic Design for Malaria Diagnosis.
There's a killer on the prowl. It's been killing for ages. Civilizations are not spared. The Romans, the Greeks, they thought it's a demon. In Africa, altars were built to appease the wrath of the goddess of death or the god of death, whatever it is. But today we know it to be malaria, a parasite hiding in bloody plain sight. All it does is to pick on the most important part of our human component, the red blood cell. The red blood cell, very vulnerable, yet important to us. Feed on it, digests the hemoglobin for its own use, and we are left with nothing. It spreads its finger up there across. Children are not spared. The great and mighty one, like Alexander the Great, fell to this tiny, invisible parasite. My thesis is based on early diagnosis of this disease. The strength of malaria lies in drug resistance. Drug resistance lies on populations of the parasite in the human body. So if we discover this parasite when it is still very minimal in the human blood, we stand a better chance of winning the battle, long-drawn battle against malaria. And my thesis is focused on developing an electrical signatory apparatus. But I don't want to use the big terminologies here today. I'm just going to call it unique electrical signatures of different cells. Cells have different electrical signatures, and my job is to find the electrical signature of malaria-infected cells. How can we use this method to sort malaria early and discover even malaria as low as one parasite hiding in the human blood? That's my job. I set out to find this solution, design a microfluidic device, too long, too short, or too wide, use this electrode, use this. After tedious journey, arrive at this tiny microchip. I call it Knight in Microhammer. This chip is able to discover malaria as early as one parasite in the human body. It's going to be affordable, cheap. It's going to be used by anybody, even in the rural part of the world where malaria is endemic. And so, hope to those little children, even hope to their parents too. They can sleep knowing fully well that the future is secured with a micro device based on electrical signature. Thank you very much.
I learned two things there. I did not know that it was the red blood cells that malaria went after, and Alexander the Great that we lost. Yeah. Good job. I knew that he passed away young, but not from malaria. Righty. So our next contestant here is Amir Javad Hosseini. He is a student of the College of Engineering and Computer Science as well, and he is here to present his thesis, Investigating the Potential of Amine Impregnated Mesoporous Silicon Materials as an alternative CO2 adsorbent for space life support applications. Yeah.
Welcome everyone. Today I'm going to share how we are making actually the living in a space as easy as breathing on air, on Earth. Imagine being an astronaut where actually far from home and where your life depends on the air that you breathe. Living on a space is like actually being in a very long airplane ride. But however, you cannot open the window to have fresh air. So we should maintain the level of the CO2 in enclosed environments, like international space stations, to provide a healthy environments for the astronauts. We do that actually with using some material, we call them adsorbent material. Today, technology that's the NASA, they are using it right now, is actually old technology that it is bulkier and it consumes a lot of energy. So we are working on finding something more efficient. So actually the material that we use, we call it adsorbent material, it's like a sponge that it is porous and it has a lot of pores. And we made that with that, with that structure that they provided. We mixed the amines with silica in different steps. And after that, we want to see that, for example, what's the porous characteristics of that material that we made, because we want to use that pore to capture the CO2. So we use that device, we call it best surface area analysis, to see what the pore size, pore volumes of our material. It's something like when we are going and counting the seats in a theater before actually selling the tickets for a show. And after that, we use that device, the orange one, we call it TGA, or thermogravimetric analysis. It's a machine that works with temperature and mass, and we program it, and we connect it to a number of cylinders like O, CO2, air, N2, and when we put a small amount of our sample in it, we can see how much the mass of that sample changes over time. So we realize that how much CO2 our sample can capture. And we want to do it in a cyclic way, we call it adsorption and desorption. You can see in the right. So we want to capture the CO2, we call it adsorption, and after that we want to heat it up, our sample, to release the CO2, we call it desorption. And we did it in a cyclic way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amir. That was close, right there. Okay. Our final contestant for this evening is Pedro de Costa. He's a student of the College of Engineering and Computer Science, and his thesis is titled "Flavonoids from Fruits and Vegetables to Potential Cancer Treatment."
Good afternoon, everybody. Now, eat your fruits and vegetables. Now, I know we've all heard this phrase before, either from our parents, from your doctor, from that fitness guru I follow on Instagram. One day. And there's a reason we hear that a lot. No matter your credo or philosophy, fruits and vegetables are the basis of every major diet out there. Now, what if I told you that aside from being nutritional and flavor powerhouses, the composition of fruits and vegetables lies a family of molecules known as flavonoids that could be the key to unlocking a treatment for one of the deadliest conditions out there, and that is cancer. Now, what am I talking about? I'm going to make a jump and make an analogy out of Legos, because who doesn't love Legos? So your fruits and vegetables would be your full Lego structure. This is made out of different pieces. Your flavonoids are the molecules, the pieces, are similar to the pieces. Now, these flavonoids are known to be able to treat cancer by either hindering or slowing down cell growth, which, if you're not aware, is what defines cancer, uncontrollable cell growth. Now, you might be asking, why can't I just take these pieces and throw it at the cancer, since we already know they work? Because, unfortunately, these pieces do not really like the cellular environment around the cells, which is mostly water. These flavonoids are like trying to put oil in water. They don't go in together. My area of research is developing the transfer methods so that we can take these pieces and transfer them to the tumor, essentially halting and slowing down and killing the cancer cells. Now, our lab has two main methodologies which we're analyzing to do this. One is encapsulation, which is essentially taking that little piece, putting it in a vehicle and driving it to the tumor. The second is essentially taking that piece and working around it, making it a powerful weapon to fight the cancer. We do this by taking advantage of the structure of the flavonoids, which are various. So we're right now running preliminary studies on it, and we show a great promise of seeing how making these changes is impacting the flavonoid's ability to target and treat cancer. We have some very promising results, which hopefully we will be able to publish soon. But until then, I leave you one last piece of advice. Eat your fruits and vegetables. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Pedro. That was very good. So, this concludes the second preliminary round of the 3-minute thesis competition. You're all good now. Everything you guys can breathe. So thank you again for all you guys for preparing such good speeches to give to us, and thank you for all of our judges who have been here today to contribute to this. So. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to vote for the People's Choice Award winner. Please, if able, scan the QR code with your phone whenever you get the chance. And from there, there'll be a list provided with the amount of, or with the contestants that you can choose that you felt won today. Just audience.
Oh, audience.
You're saying.
Oh.
on the screen. Wait, no, but. And as a reminder, some things to keep in mind while you're voting, again, is the comprehension content. Did they provide clear motivation, background, and significance for their research question? Did they clearly describe their strategy and design as well as their findings? Did they clearly describe the conclusions, outcomes, and effects of research? Also be taken into account those PowerPoint slides, how well defined they were, and how well they enhanced the presentation. As a reminder, 1 is the lowest score for the contestant and 7 is the highest. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes here. Make sure to get those word votes in, and I'm also going to take a few minutes to tally up all the votes. Get back to you. Oh. I'll bring it back.
It's more with actually the worst is like conscious that there's like conjunction. She's making it. She started the summer or something. She's so happy. She's actually pouring into developing. She was working with a 700 hours. Yes, that I'm sorry. Too much. No. So much better. Can't be clean.
All right, so the votes are in. We are ready to announce our winner. Again, thank you all so much for being here, and if we can get a quick round of applause for our presenters. The wealth of talent that our graduate college has. So now I would like to invite to the stage the graduate college's director of admissions and enrollment management, Stephen Stapp. He will be presenting the awards to the winners for this round. So, without further ado, our second runner-up winner for this evening is Leandro Aristigieta. And for today's runner-up winner, we have Ola Diran, Ola Diran. For the People's Choice winner, we have Pedro de Costa. Pedro, I'm actually going to ask you to stay on stage because you are all of our winners. So was it all the speakers first, or just the winners?
Let's bring up the
We can do all the winners.
winners.
The winners first, yeah. So I welcome all the winners back up to the stage for a group photo. One more. Big smile. And judges, I'm also going to welcome you to the stage. Please and thank you.
I wish it was the same, maybe next time.
Perfect. Stay if you can. And we'd like to invite all the competitors up on stage for this round. We may have to get a little tight.
Paul, right here, we can zoom down a little bit more this way.
Yeah.
Tall people in the back.
Yeah, tell people in the back, please.
All right, get close.
Yeah, copy where you want a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please help